Max, welcome. Come on in. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Paul. Nice to be here.
So you coined this phrase investment xenophobia, and you were talking about it specifically in relation to this Walmart, Massmart thing. Give me a sense of what's getting your back up on this issue.
Well, I think, there's a bit of dichotomy going on with the government. On the one hand, they say they're very interested in attracting foreign investment into this country, which we have seen. Look what they've done for the motor industry. But now we've had two cases, the Kinsani Free World case where the government intervened to say, well, look, there are significant public interest concerns. And now we've got Walmart, Massmart. And I think we've got to be worried about what sort of messages we're actually sending out to the foreign investment community.
Okay, so to go back a step, what you're saying is we've seen big ticket foreign entrees into South Africa. We saw Mittal, we saw Barclays, ABSA comes to mind. We've seen Vodafone come in and take the big stake in Vodacom. So on surface, it looks as though we're very keen on foreign investment and we're pro-capitalist and all the rest, and we want to create the good grounds for investment. But then you see a case where literally the Trade and Industry Department is a party to what looks like a very aggressive anti-Walmart pitch at the Competition Tribunal, arguing that it would not be in the public interest. So to unpick that a bit further, are they concerned about local procurement and jobs? And how does that square with the idea that if you have an open economy, you get investment and all of that sort of stuff?
Yes, I think, look, on the one hand, there is a laissez-faire approach to foreign investment in this country. The only sectors like banking sectors, the one where you've got a regulator that actually makes a decision on whether a foreign investor can invest here or not. And so far we've had that four pillars approach, which we know that the Reserve Bank has talked about. More broadly, it's anybody can come in and invest. So yes, what we've seen lately coming out with the Kinsani and now with Walmart is that DTI, along with the Department of Economic Development, is saying, well, let's hold back a step. Let's actually take a look at what these investments mean for the South African economy. Now, they can't intervene directly, so they're using the Competition Tribunal as a mechanism, and they're saying it's this public interest, but they don't really define what public interest is. They say, yes, it's about protecting jobs, and yes, it's about protecting local manufacturing base. Now we've got in the Walmart case, they're saying it's the local manufacturing base, it's jobs, and there's also this supposed concern about the balance of payments. Walmart's going to come in here and all of a sudden source everything from around the world, specifically China, of which they're greatly concerned. And they say, look at what will potentially happening to the clothing industry. But now the clothing industry in South Africa is, well, quite frankly, already dead. It's lost 50% of its jobs in the last 10 years. And this happened before Walmart arrived. Walmart coming in now, I don't think it's going to change that picture. In fact, SACTU, one of the unions which is opposing the Walmart deal, is very concerned about the clothing industry, it says, and the potential impact Walmart might have on it. But yet, in Newcastle, we're seeing SACTU actually actively campaigning to enforce the minimum wage standard, which is actually causing clothing factories to close. So what is it that we're really after here?
Yeah, so there's a whole lot of ideological strands here, but let's just pick on that one issue you raise, is that if you've got a country where you've got industrial policy and you're trying to favor certain sectors, firstly, you're going to run up against general trade treaties, which don't like that sort of thing. But secondly, how come you're using the Competition Authority to do that? Didn't the Competition Authority get a big slap with that Pioneer case where they were basically told, stop trying to mess around and create investment incentives and stop trying to force them to invest money in something? That money, the fines should go to the National Treasury, and National Treasury should decide what the policy ought to be.
Yes, absolutely. We did see that, and that seemed to be a bit of a battle between two ministries, yes, as well. So yes, it's not clear. What we really need government to come out and say is actually, this is the investment criteria we are looking for. So, this is what we want investors to do. Now, if you go to the economics of a Walmart, Massmart deal, whose interests are they protecting? Are they protecting the unions or us as consumers? Because us as consumers could substantially benefit from Walmart entering into this economy.
And isn't it true to say, although maybe that's just things that guys like us didn't agree on, that a more competitive economy results in a better allocation of investment resources. It keeps everybody honest, and it results in, a net economic benefit, not only for consumers, but ultimately for everyone. So to try and have this sort of investment czar approach where you say a little bit of a rule here, a little bit of a rule there, just creates distortions, not so?
Absolutely, I agree with you 100% on that. Walmart would contend, in fact, they'll make things more efficient in this economy, in fact, make it more competitive, which theoretically is better for us.
Like
as a country.
ShopRite going there and complaining at the same, that looked like they should just shut up and get out of there.
Well, I mean, what do you expect? Pick and Pay also says it's going to be bad for the economy,
that's
but
so
I mean,
pathetic.
yeah, they're looking after their own self-interest, clearly.
Okay, so now if we were to broaden this, I mean, why is it that within the broader confines of the ANC and its economic thinking, they've got this fascination with the sort of developmentalism and the idea that you can have more public sector involvement and that the private sector needs to be curtailed? I mean, I suppose I'm asking a very political question, but you might argue that that comes from the fact that people felt excluded from our economy for so long. It's quite a hard task to get everybody to be, you know, like some kind of economic libertarian.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think what one has to understand, the ruling party, the ANC, a significant part of its power base comes from the union. So they do have to listen to what the unions say to some degree, of form or another. I mean, particularly our president, Jacob Zuma, was elected on the backing of the tickets of COSATU. So clearly, I think that's the dynamic we're seeing there. We're seeing, well, you know, the unions are pushing for a bit of a protectionist stance in our economy. And I think to agree, maybe Ibrahim Patel, the Minister of Economic Development, is torn, because on the one hand, he's saying, look, we do need foreign direct investment in the economy, but on the other hand, he's got this very powerful bloc saying to him, look, if you do that, it's got to come with conditions. So I don't think he's got an easy job. He's got to find balance to walk through that.
Okay, so now we're days away from the findings of the Competition Tribunal. This looks like it could go either way, and it could result in a decision. Government says it'll honor or respect the decision of the outcome. But I mean, it seems to be on a knife edge, because if the tribunal finds very restrictive conditions are the only basis in which it'll approve it, there's a strong chance that Walmart might say, thanks very much, but we're going to walk away, which one would imagine would have a devastatingly negative impact in terms of globally in the kind of editorials you'll see in newspapers.
Yeah, I think it will create a very bad precedent. And I think it's sentiment at the end of the day, which is so important. You know, investors will look at South Africa and say, well, you know, if I do that merger or make that acquisition, does that now mean I've got all these other set of conditions that I've got to look at when I do my due diligence? And how does that impact on my investment? And I mean, as we know, basically, at the end of the day, what do investors want? They want certainty. They want a set of rules that they can understand, that they can factor into their balance, into their spreadsheets when they make that acquisition.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, there's another dynamic to this that we need to explore. We are expanding into the rest of Africa quite aggressively. Now, what happens if all those African countries turn around and say, well, look how you guys react to foreigners coming into your economy.
Yeah.
We might
so
start
if you want
reacting
to
that same
set
way.
up a game store in Lusaka, thanks very much, we'll have 60% local procurement as well.
Exactly. And
which
I mean,
is nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. And what are the benefits that we are doing when we're going into Africa, like ShopRite and all that? It's the fact that we've got those companies have got great procurement and supply chain management systems which they're utilizing to expand into those economies. Exactly what Walmart wants to do here in South Africa.
Well, look, I'll certainly be hoping that the Competition Tribunal comes down the right side of this thing, but as ever, we always have to wait and see. Max, thanks very much. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you again soon.